What's up guys, welcome back to a new part of the tutorial series where I show you how to fix your basics. In today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to do your effects and your render settings, and then in the final tutorial, which is going to be next week, I'm going to show you how to do your SFX. So let's get right into the video. Alright, so in the previous tutorial we did some warps, as you can see. So just a simple turbulent warp and also a pinch warp. Now today we're going to focus on a glitch effect, so I'm going to show that on this transition, and I'm also going to show you a text effect which you can easily apply in any of your edits. So let's start off with the glitch effect. Now just to recap on like the order of your warps and your blurs and your shakes, you usually want your shakes to be first, then your warps, and then your blurs. And then now we're going to make our effects on top of everything as well. So if you kind of like switch up this order, it might not look really good. Like for example, you can switch up the warp and the shake, but I prefer it to be on top of your shake. But if you're a beginner like most of you, you just want to keep it like this. Then we're going to add an adjustment layer, so Ctrl-Alt+Y. And now we're just going to make this adjustment layer 3 frames long. So we're going to go 1 frame backwards, and then Ctrl-Shift+D. And then you want to just delete this part. And then you want to go 2 frames forward, so 1, 2, and then cut it here as well. So now we can add something called invert, and just add it on here. As you can see, our colors will invert. You can also change this one here, this setting, the channel, which can give you some pretty interesting looks. So for example, this blue one, I really like it because it also has some yellow colors too. Then we can set our time indicator on the center, so on the impact point, and just animate the blend with original. I just want to keep it at 0. Then at the first frame, you can set it to 100. So basically what this means is it just fully blends with your original clip, so there's just no invert effect. And now you can go 1 frame forward and then do the exact same thing. So now we basically got 1 frame of this invert effect within these 3 frames of our adjustment layer. And as you can see, it already glitches a little bit. Alright, then we can add something called wave warp, so let's add it. You can set it to sine and just make the width like really small. Then the height, you can increase it. So you want the width to be really small. Something like this. And then what you want to do is on your first frame here, you just want to make the height something like 70 maybe. So not too much. And then just animate it. Then go to your next frame. Here you want to set it even higher. So like completely glitch it. And then go to your next frame and just set it to 70 again. Or maybe like 60 to vary it a little bit more. Alright, now actually here I'm gonna set it even lower. So maybe like 20. So we can see a little bit more of the clip. And now it looks like this. So now we also kind of got this glitch going on. Now we can animate even more with this, and that's a really important thing with glitches. You just want to randomize it as much as possible and just animate as much as possible. So for example, the wave direction, we could also animate this one. So let's just set it to something random. Go to the next frame, just do something completely different. Now as a last simple glitch effect, I just want to make this first frame here kind of like black and white. And then what you want to do is add tint. And then just add it on here. And then as you can see, it just turns black and white. So now as you can see, our entire adjustment layer turned black and white. And we only want it for the first frame. So let's animate the amount to tint. And then go to the next frame and just set it to 0. So now as you can see, this is what it looks like. Really glitchy and simple to achieve. So now we're going to move on to our text effect. You want to select this blur layer here. And then if you go to the text tool, you can just click on here and then add text. So we're going to add forex. So you could add your name here or like a lyric of the song. That's also really interesting. Then we're going to cut it. So Ctrl-Shift+D and delete this part. And then let's cut it till here, till the next clip. Alright, and now as you can see, because we selected the blur layer first, our text layer will just pop up above that. So now we're going to center it. The first thing you want to do is center your pivot point. So that's this kind of like circle thing here. And this kind of like indicates the center of your text. So what we want to do is just select our text layer, Ctrl-Alt+Home. So kind of like a hard keybind, but if you can find it, it will just center your pivot point. And now we can go to align and then just click this button here and this button. So now it just aligns on both the x-axis and the y-axis, and it's just perfectly in the center. Alright, so now the first thing I always like to do is just scale it. It's the simplest animation, and it will instantly look way better. So press S and then animate it and then set the first one to 20. So usually I don't set it to 0 completely. Like you won't see the difference between a really small scale and just on 0. So I just set it to 20. And then you want to go a little bit further than the center. And here we're going to set it to 100. And then we can go to the end. But just keep in mind, because we got all these adjustment layers here, we actually already got a pretty cool animation. So let me just show you. So like these adjustment layers also apply on the actual text. So it actually looks pretty good even without scale animation. But we're going to scale it anyway, so let's just make it even bigger. And now we're going to select them all, press F9 and go to the graph editor. Then here we can just create a graph that looks like this. So it goes fast first and then hold Alt to link these two. And then let's just do something like this where it goes fast in the end too. Alright, that looks really nice. Alright, now what you can do is go out of the graph editor and then let's add another animation. So this one is a little bit harder. We can go down to this arrow, then text, and then let's go to animate. And then here we can add a property called tracking. And what this does is basically kind of like split our letters apart, which is a pretty cool thing. So as you can see, if I just quickly change this value here, the tracking amount, you can see it just splits apart. And now you can see it just splits to the right, which I don't really like. So I kind of want to center it. And the way we're going to do that is go to paragraph. And then we can just set it from this to this setting here. But then of course you'll need to recenter your pivot point again. So let's use Ctrl Alt plus Home. And then let's go to align again and align it. Alright, so now as you can see, if you change the tracking, now it's really nice because it tracks on both sides. So we're going to go to the beginning, set it to 0, then animate it of course. And now we're just going to go to the exact same position as we previously did, so with the scale, and then just drag it a little bit like this, and then go to the end, and then let's kind of like squish it together, and then we can select them all, F9, and then kind of like make the exact same graph. So just make sure it's fast in the beginning, then hold Alt to link these, then hold Shift to make it flat, and then, you know, do kind of like this. Alright, and now this is a little bit too fast to my liking because you can't really see it split apart. So what you can do is just make it a little less steep. Alright, that's a little bit better. Now we can accentuate it a lot too. So maybe in the beginning we can just squish it even more like this. And then here we can just bring it apart a little bit more as well. So let's just change a few more things. And then towards the end we can also make it a little less steep. Alright, perfect. So now what I'm mainly focused on while tweaking this is just to make sure it's clear enough that it's like having this tracking effect, but it should also still be smooth and like it should match the motion of your clip, because some fast zooming motion over text, so we also want a fast tracking motion. And then it zooms in fast, so we also want it fast here, but still it has to be visible, so don't make it like overly steep like this. That will just not look good. Because as you can see, we can just not see any animation. And then one animation I love to do with text is just make like each letter individually kind of like move around. So how we're going to do that, it's really easy. Just go down to this arrow again, then animate, and then we can just select the position value. Then we're going to go to this one here, the add, and then a selector, and then a wiggly selector. Now what you can do is delete this range selector because you won't need it. And then let's go down to the wiggly selector, and then you're in the right spot. Alright, here what you can do is set the position to 20 maybe, and then -20. And now as you can see, it just kind of moves around. So you can honestly just keep it like this. You can also animate it, but for this tutorial, I'm just gonna keep it like this. One important setting you can change as well is the wiggles per second. So now it's set on 2. If you set it to 5, it will just go way faster. Let's set it to 3 maybe. So I kind of like this. Maybe 2.5. Yep, that's great. Alright, so again, you can animate these values if you want. And if you do so, I would recommend you to animate the maximum amount and the minimum amount, because this is kind of like the overall amount of your effect. So if you animate this one, you'll be good. Now we can kind of change up your text style as well. So now it's boring and white. So for now, let's keep it simple. And let's just try to add a drop shadow and a glow. So first thing we want to add is a drop shadow. Let's go to S drop shadow and add it. And then here we just want to set these shifts to 0. Alright, and now we can increase the shadow blur. So as you can see, it will just spread out more. And then we can just change the opacity if you want. So this will make it darker or less dark. Alright, then the next thing we can do is add a glow. So I'm gonna use deep glow for now. So you can use like another glow if you want. S glow also usually looks good with this effect. But deep glow is the GOAT, of course, so we want to use this. And then obviously dial it down because this is way too much. This is also something I see in most TikTok edits, like people just be overdoing shit. Like for example, glows, they just be keeping this shit. Or for example, with like the sharpen effect too. Some people like just overdo the sharpen effect, like it's crazy. But yeah, I might get into that with the render settings later. Alright, like this. So now as you can see, we got a simple glow. and it just fits our edit, you know. A few things you can do is just like make the white a color that matches your clip below it. That can make it fit better, or you can make like a completely different type of textile. But yeah, I'll probably make like a tutorial about that in the future, because that's a little more advanced. Alright, so now we'll move on to the render settings. So what we'll do is select our top layer, go to the bottom, and then select our bottom layer except the song layer. So just all your clips, all your adjustment layers, except the song layer. And then right click, and then go to pre-compose. And then let's just call it edit. And then of course select these settings here and press OK. Alright, so now you got one layer again with all our edits. And then what I like to do is add sharpen. This will basically just sharpen up your clip. So if you set it to full, now it's pretty sharp, but if you increase this, we can make it even sharper. And this is kind of what I meant with like people making their edits too sharp. Like, people really think this is good, but it's not, you know, like you shouldn't overdo this. So I usually like to set it to somewhere between 20 and 60. So let's just pick 30, because at a certain point it doesn't get any sharper, it just gets like more corrupted and stuff, so you really don't want that. So 30 was good. Then the next thing to add is RSMB, but if you don't have it, don't worry too much, because we already manually edit our blurs, which is the most important step, honestly. That's gonna make your edit like look the smoothest. But yeah, if you have RSMB, it's like another extra to add onto it. And we're just going to change one setting here. It's the blur amplitude, and you want to set it to like 0.3 maybe. And then you just get that extra motion blur, which looks really nice. Alright, perfect. Now, the last thing you can do with like render settings within your composition is to kind of like upscale it. But I like to just render it like this, then do the SFX, which we're going to do in the next tutorial, and then upscale it with the SFX, so we get that final full resolution result. But yeah, for now, we're just gonna go to export, and the last thing you can do before that is just go here, and then press the N key, and this will set your composition duration to this spot here. So you just wanna see for yourself where you want your edit to end. So for example here, and now we can go to File, Export, and then add it to the render queue. Here you can go to Best Settings, and then the quality set on best, resolution on full, then leave all these settings. So just check it. If anything is different on your screen, then just change it to these settings. Also use the comps frame rate, which is 24. If you use this one, it will kind of like change your frame rate, and that will be really bad. So keep it on your comps frame rate, and then you can press OK. Then the next settings are below it. So what I like to do, if your edit is lower than 24 FPS, you want to render it in the MOV codec. So that's gonna be QuickTime. So if it's lower than 24 FPS, you really want to set it to this setting here. Otherwise, I've noticed your video and your audio will kind of like misalign, and things will be slowed down and stuff. So that's really bad, you don't want that. But for now, our edit is in 24 FPS. And if your edit is even higher in FPS, then you don't need to use QuickTime. But for now, we're gonna use a preset then, which is called the H254 40 megabytes per second. And if I just go into the settings quickly, this is what it looks like. So you can copy this, then press OK. And then the last thing is the output. So you can click on this too, and then just set it to a folder where you want to output it. So maybe in videos, and then save it. Now the last thing to do is just press render, and I'll get back to you when it's rendered. Alright, so now you should hear this beautiful sound which After Effects makes, and that means your edit is rendered finally. So again, in the next tutorial, we're going to go over SFX and how to upscale your edit. But for now, hopefully you've learned a lot, and if you did, make sure to subscribe. And if you want me to help you even more with After Effects, then make sure to go to the first link in the description down below, because there's like an editing group, and if you join it, I can help you skyrocket your editing skills. Alright, hopefully I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.